hi everybody. Welcome to our fourth webinar in our weekly webinar series that's designed to prepare you for life as an international student. It's a bit hard to believe that we're already at the halfway mark, but today we'll be talking about well-being and what you should be bringing to the United States, and also importantly, what you should not be bringing to the United States as an international student. As a reminder, you've probably seen me in the other webinars if you've attended. My name is Ansh Mundra. I am the Chief Growth Officer here at Rome. I'm kind of responsible for putting this webinar series together. So thank you so much for joining in, or if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you so much for that as well.
Amanda, do you want to introduce yourself and then I'll go?
Hi everyone, I'm Amanda Binu. I'm Rome's growth intern. I'm currently majoring in information technology and informatics at the University of Michigan Flint. This is some important information that would have been very helpful for me when I was starting off. So I'm glad to share that information with you and I hope it'll be helpful. Thank you for joining us.
And I'm Krish. I'm a senior at NYU studying business tech and entrepreneurship. And this is something I definitely needed because fitting all of my life into two 23 kg bags was just not a pleasant experience. Needed a lot of guidance around what to carry and what not to carry, and general overall well-being, because there's a lot of stuff you need to figure out mentally and physically when you first move abroad. So we'll be walking you through a bit of that, but thank you for joining.
Yeah, and we want to hear from you guys. So please feel free to drop in the chat where you're calling in from. If you have any questions for us that we can already start to think about and answer on later on, let's try to make this as interactive as possible. We don't want to be just talking to each other. But without further ado, let's get into it. I think you have an agenda slide prepared for us, Krish.
Yeah. This is us.
But yeah, this is just a quick agenda. We'll just be going over what packing essentials we have, how to take care of your mental and emotional well-being, how do you exactly adapt to a new environment. We talked about this in our first webinar, by the way. How do you navigate culture shocks if you want to check that out? And also very important, and I don't think a lot of people talk about this, is the importance of staying physically fit. So we have a few questions prepared, and we're sort of just going to ask each other those questions and just talk about our experience and our learning so far. And please feel free to just chime in with any questions you have. So let's get started. Heads iPad, we'll answer this real quick. But let's get started with the first question is like, what do you bring? What do you get when you come into the United States? Do you get like a mattress topper? Do you get this? Do you get that? Let's talk about that. So what do you guys think is just like some essential item that you need to get?
So I can start us off. Like Krish mentioned, we're gonna move our entire life to another country with two 23 kg luggage bags. So kind of envision what an empty room would look like, whether that's a dorm room, which is way smaller, or if you're renting your own place, and what would be the things that you need as soon as you get there. Of course, you need to keep in mind there's a lot of things that you can buy once you come to the country, but there's some non-negotiables. So what a lot of our students do is they pack things such as like ready-made food that they can find only in their home country, maybe essential toiletries that you won't have time to go and grab when you first come to the country. Even clothes. I made this mistake of overpacking. My entire suitcase was just shoes and clothes. Trust me, that's not the only thing you need when you get here. Make sure that you have all of your essentials, and I think visualizing a room that has nothing in it is going to help you think through that process. But that's probably what I would recommend the most. And keep in mind when you get here, literally anything that you can find is available here at any store. So if you're considering the weather that you're going into, if you think you need to take some warm clothes with you, make sure you're considering that. If you're going to a more sunny place, make sure you're packing appropriately for that as well.
Non-negotiable is interesting. I would say break it down into pairs of clothes. It's much easier to pack when you know what you're going to wear. Purely because the first few days it's going to be so hectic to be able to find what it is and then pair out outfits and so on and so forth. I'd just say pack like 10 to 15 sets of clothes, at least to begin with. And the rest you're going to end up buying here anyways, purely because the weather is so different in most places. And everyone comes in fall. Fall, it gets cold really quick. So you're going to be moving around with jackets. Jackets we probably don't have coming from the east because it's much warmer out there. So yeah, be prepared to shop a little. It's always a bit of fun. But that said, make sure you budget and make sure you don't overpack, because if you overpack, even if you have everything you need, odds are you won't have space to keep it because dorm rooms aren't that big. So just a
Yeah.
few tips over there.
Yeah, just adding on to Amanda's point is like making sure like everything is usually available in the United States, but also understanding where your living situation is located. Is like, are you located next to a Target or a Walmart where you can just like just walk and like, get your supplies, or I do have to maybe take a car or like travel a little bit to get supplies because that will also matter. So just understand where exactly you're located and how close things are to you, so that you're not stressing on the first day. And also just want to say like make sure you get a converter or an adapter because the charging point in the United States is different from that of India or like the UAE. So because it's like a two-pronged thing. So make sure you get a converter as well. Um, as for let's just break it down into like segments. So like let's talk about documents also. So obviously you need your passport with your F1 visa in your passport, assuming you're an F1 student. Then you need your I-20, definitely. You should carry your admissions letter. Although I've never been asked my admission letter at customs, but just carry it. Why not? I also carried financial documents. So like what I did was I carried a bank account statement of my dad's bank account statement, so we could show that we have proof of funds. And if you're getting a scholarship, then also maybe carry like your scholarship letter, just so you can show that yeah you're able to pay for your stay in the United States. Uh, and if you have like travel insurance, maybe carry that as well. But to be honest with you, at the customs, they'll probably only ask you for your I-20. Maybe they'll ask you for your lease if you have a lease, but you can just tell them you're probably living in a dorm. But definitely, like those are some things you should carry.
I would also say
Uh,
to carry any medication that you might need because you don't know how
yeah,
much access you have to that when you get here. So make sure you have anything that you might need in case you have a fever, a cold. Take things with you to treat temporarily until you can meet someone at the hospital.
yeah. And then let's talk about electronics. So obviously, you should get your laptop, your charger, obviously your mobile phone, your charger. Get a power bank in case you have a long flight. You don't get a place to charge your phone or your laptop. You have a power bank. And obviously, just get a converter as well. And get your headphones. That's all you really need. So a lot of people ask, like, should you get an iPad when you come to the United States and you become like a college student or whatever? I never got an iPad. I did just fine, but a lot of people do. So it really depends on you, what kind of person you are. If you're a pen and paper kind of person or like an iPad and pencil stylus kind of person.
So Ayush asked if you need to bring utensils. So obviously, if you're cooking, you need to have utensils. So if you're using some vessels that you might only get at your country, like cookers, usually some of our Indian students bring that with them in their suitcase. But keep in mind how much weight that's going to add to your luggage. So if you think you'd be able to come here and find pots, pans, plates, cutlery somewhere at a store here, then you don't need to get that. But if you think it's something you'll probably find only in your country or in you have ethnic stores here in the US as well. So you would be able to purchase them here. So it's just kind of a personal decision on if you want to add that to your luggage weight or purchase it once you get here.
Yeah.
Darshil brings up a pretty good. Sorry to cut you off, Chris. Darshil brings up a pretty good point on the chat. He's like, "Oh, so you guys can live without your phone?" Nah, that's the number one thing that I need to survive today. So yeah, you're right, Darshil. Sorry to cut you off, Chris.
No, no, you're good. So I was saying utensils. Good thing is if you're living in a college dorm or you're rooming with other people, the status quo is that you split the cost of the utensils. So I wouldn't suggest carrying it from home purely because there are very, very good, reasonable options out there. And you're probably anyways going to share if you're living with other people. So you might as well just come here and like split the cost and get a good set. So you don't have to carry it, one. And two, you can just all use it without having any issues.
Yeah,
Um,
Eve asks, "Go on, Amanda."
oh, I was just going to read the question. You got it.
Okay, yeah, go for it. Go for it.
So Eve asks, in college, do you pay to use the kitchen or laundry room? This is specific to the college. So one of the dormitories we lived in, every student had their own like personal kitchen area in the shared space. But if you wanted to use an oven, then we had a shared space downside, like on the first floor, which was common for everyone. So it kind of depends on the dorm. You can go to the housing and residential life page of your university to read up more about their amenities and what's available to you in your personal room and is common. So it just depends.
Yeah, there's typically two kinds of dorms. dorm rooms that are at universities. Either it's an apartment style or a studio type studio style room where it's just like two or three beds in a small room. Maybe you have your own washroom. A lot of universities do communal washrooms, and that's kind of it. Sometimes you have an apartment style where you have a kitchen and you have a fridge and you have a microwave and you have this like small living area. But so it really depends. Sometimes you'll have your own kitchen, sometimes you won't. And for laundry, what I had to do was I stayed in NYU dorms only a semester. And in that semester, they had this system where you kind of just filled up your laundry card, like up to $10 or $20. And then every time you would use it, it was like like a debit card. And you would it would just take the money out of your card. So it depends on your university. But you probably will have to pay for laundry.
Yeah, and for us personally at the University of Michigan, we have laundry rooms, so you need to go in and put like quarters in. I think it's like 75 cents, but you basically pay to do laundry every time. And that's also kind of a hassle because you have to wait because there's so many people living in the dorm facility and you have to time it so that you can get there and actually get your clothes done. So
Yeah.
um, and Ayush asks, what's the price of the stationaries compared to India? So if you're converting currencies, that would probably tell you, the cost of stationaries. If you're comparing the dollar to rupees, obviously it's going to be cheaper in India. If you don't think it's going to add too much weight to your luggage, feel free to carry it with you. If not, we have places like the dollar store that you can go and buy whatever you need. So.
Also, I was just looking online and it turns out that it's actually a lot more similar price than I think. So like you can get 24 pencils for 99 cents, which is it's like 3 rupees a pencil.
Yeah,
And
dude, like at Target, you get those thick binders, thick notebooks for like $2.50, $3. And those
if
go so hard, like they last me the entire semester.
if you go to Staples, it's half a dollar. So it's like 40 rupees for a notebook, which is about the same as India. So don't stress too much about stationery, but like Amanda said, some things are expensive. I don't know what, but some things are.
I would say bring your essentials with you that you'll need for like your first semester of classes because you don't know if you have like a Target or a TJ Maxx somewhere close by to you and then that you would have transport to get there. So, a book and a pen is probably what you need because everyone uses their laptops here in classes mostly or some sort of digital device. So just back up.
Raika asks, so it says that they're planning to carry Surf Excel pods for laundry, and they're asking whether they need to buy laundry detergent from here. And I'll say that my mom does this. She like sends Tide Pods with me because they're just cheaper in Dubai. So yeah, you can carry those, but like you can definitely find them here in Target, and you don't need to use laundry detergent. I use Tide Pods all the time, and it works perfectly fine. Uh, whether he asks if You're welcome, Vedhi. Thank you so much for being here. She asks whether we can easily carry legumes or lentils to the United States. So basically, like, can we carry dal? And yes, you can carry dal. I have carried a lot of dal, and they've never said anything. My mom, this is like embarrassing to even admit, but my mom is such a sweetheart. She's literally got like 5 kilos of rice for me. She's like, we don't need to buy rice there. I'm just like, mom, what's just basmati rice? But yeah, you can do that. I know there's like a lot of myths saying that you can't carry medication and not can't carry dal and stuff, but I've had no problem with that. What about you guys?
Yeah, I
Um,
would carry kilos and kilos. Maybe just enough for what you need to STEM. Because if you start carrying kgs of dal, they're just gonna be like, okay, something's up here. Like, don't carry kgs of dal and
Yeah,
I'm entering the US as a student. They're probably gonna flag you. Don't do that. But yeah, carry as much as you need for the SEM. As long as it's reasonable and you can justify that you can eat that, they're gonna be fine with it. But the second it looks sus, they're probably gonna stop you and ask you a few questions.
and I'd
yeah,
also
carry
say
like 100, 200 grams. Like that'll be fine.
Yeah, and also declare it when you get to immigration because they ask you what you bring with you. They ask you if you have any food items, any meat. So making sure that you notify them also prevents them from opening your bag and then taking it out. So,
Guys, listen to Amanda. Don't listen to me. She has more sound legal advice.
Not
I
legal
also
at
want to talk about bedding, not legal advice, sorry. I also want to talk about bedding is like, should you get well, a bed sheet and a pillowcase? And I would say yes, because those are like pretty easy to pack. And if you have like an old one lying around, just get that and you can use that for a few days and then you can get a new one when you come over here. That's what I did at least.
So in dorms, a lot of universities they offer you bedding and all of that. But if you at any point end up moving out, then you'll need to probably buy your own bed set. So what I did was when I was at the dorms, I used what was provided, and then when I was moving out, I bought my own bedding set. So it all depends. You can also get here and then decide. And like Ansh said, if you have like a bed sheet and a pillow cover lying there, then you can bring that with you. Krish, did you have anything else to add?
Unpacking, no, I think we're pretty good. Let's see if there are any
I have
more.
one more thing to add, is to try to make your dorm room feel like home, like feel homely. And what I did was, I got like photo frames from back home of my friends, of my family, and I had like three, four of them, and they would like sit on my study desk, and they reminded me of home, and they reminded me of why I'm studying abroad, why I'm doing this, and that's for my family. So try to bring something that's personal to you because trust me, you'll need it.
Raika asks, can I put, where should I put my mini projector? I would say check in for sure. You don't have to worry about it. Most tech items can go into check-in except your laptop. Don't put your laptop in your check-in bag. That has to be hand carry purely because of the battery. Same with portable chargers. I believe it can't be checked in. It needs to be hand carried. But double check on the portable chargers. I'm not too sure about that. But laptop for sure. Everything else can go in the bag. And
So,
like Ansh said, I think plants are a great thing to keep in the dorm. Not real plants. Real plants can be a bit messy, but like a little plant from Target or a dollar store, something cute. I have one. I'll get and show you in a second. But yeah,
But don't carry plants from India. Don't
yeah,
do
don't get it.
that.
for reference, also the projector, if it has a battery inside it, you're not allowed to have any batteries in your check-in, so make sure you carry it with you in your carry-on. Just to be safe, I always carry all of my electronics in my personal bag. So if you want to be safe, you can do that. But if any of your electronics don't have batteries in them, then feel free to check it in with your luggage.
Also, you guys are probably wondering if we can carry like kettles and stuff. And it really depends on your dorm. Like I know at NYU, they didn't let us have any electronics from outside, in the sense that you can't use a toaster or a kettle because it might like fuse or jayega or whatever. So just check in if you can with your university. Ayush asks, what documents should I bring with me for college documentation for the college orientation, and do they need to be original or photocopies are enough? Ayush, you typically don't need to get anything for your college orientation. You kind of just have to show up because you're coming there. They want to make sure you feel welcomed. So as long as like you are a student there and they have your name, you're completely fine. As for like entering the United States, you should get your I-20, you should get your original passport, obviously, get your admission letter, get any scholarship letters, proof of funds, like a bank statement, and like you can also print your SEVIS document, I believe it's called. That is also useful. But honestly, they typically just ask you for your I-20 and ask you a few questions over there.
I would say stay in touch with your international office at your university, so that they'll let you know if you do need to have anything, but ideally you don't. And even if they do
Yeah.
need you to bring anything, they'll let you know. Oh, Krish has his plan.
Yeah, little plant like $5, but it's sweet. Adds a lot to the space, and it's fake, so you don't have to water it. But it feels nice to have some planty thing around.
I name you one of those. Does the plant have a name, Krish?
We can name him now. Comment in the chat. What should we name it?
Comment in
I'm
the chat what
excited.
we should
I'm
name
excited
Krish's.
to see. I'm excited to see what banjo. Okay, I'm liking this. I think
Okay.
banjo is a nice name.
So
Banjo or
Darsh
Cutie Patootie?
Darshil is asking if an idol will be okay to get for customs. Completely okay. We have a lot of our students who bring their like prayer setups with them and they have it in their houses. So yeah, feel free to do that. Just wrap it up. Well.
Does the college hold our original documents till the end of the course duration? No, they do not. Like whatever documents you've submitted to them, they have like digital versions of it. But don't worry, like you'll have your passport on you, you'll have your I-20 on you. They're not like here to like arrest you or anything like that.
I have had that experience in India where they always ask you for your original documents and don't give it back to you.
Really?
Yeah, if it's like school or anything, they always need you to submit like your original like transcripts or whatever. That's been my experience, and then you have to keep like a photocopy and they'll give it back to you like after.
Interesting.
That is
Damn.
great. Yeah.
Okay, I think we covered packing essentials pretty well. If you guys have any other questions, like please. Also, you guys are not texting on the hosts and panels chat, which is nice. Like obviously, we're getting to read your questions, but we also want other people to read your questions. So put it in the everyone chat, so everybody else can also see what you're asking us.
Okay. Awesome. Should we move on?
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. So our next question is, what are some tips for managing homesickness and staying connected with your family and friends back home?
So I've seen many students navigate this in many different ways. Of course, most of them video call their family every single day, whether that's when you're heading to class or when you wake up or you're going to bed, just to call them, update them, call your friends. Um, I don't know, messaging them. Like Ansh said, bringing photos of them that you can keep in your room. Also ensuring that you're integrating into a community space within the college. Make sure you're being outgoing, meeting new people and being open to making new connections when you get here.
I
Yeah, I
think,
think what really helped me was just like speaking to my mom and my dad, from like it was like every day for a while, for a few semesters actually, and then it became like every other day once I got busy. But speaking to them and just telling them how I'm doing and like asking them how they're doing, because I feel like that's what we miss a lot too, is their presence around us. So just talking to them is something that you should intentionally try to do, your family, because it's going to be hard in the start, but having that connection will really help. So make sure you take out time to intentionally talk to your parents.
Yeah, we
oh,
have WhatsApp, guys. Don't worry about it. We can video call anytime.
yeah, it's good. You can call back home whenever you want, and it's free. Just make sure to connect to Wi-Fi because sometimes video calling drains your data. And if you're on campus, there's Wi-Fi almost everywhere, so you should be fine. But one thing I did that really helped me adapt was I just walked around. Now, in New York, you can walk around on certain places you may not be able to, but most campuses will have enough space for you to just walk and explore. So definitely do that because the more comfortable you get with your environment, the more it'll feel like home. So I'd say that's a good starting point. Meet some friends and say, let's just go around and explore. And you'd be shocked at how many people want to just see what's out there. So you're gonna instantly, one, make friends, and two, get to know where you are. So it'll be fun.
Yeah.
Because I think the next question is tailored for you.
Yeah, 1 second. This is showing you my dog. This is Leo.
Oh.
Oh,
I miss him. That's why he's my wallpaper. But I FaceTime him as much as I can, WhatsApp video him as much as I can, and yeah, I have a ton of pictures from our conversations. But yeah, unfortunately, dogs can't talk on the phone, and sometimes dogs can't see you through the phone. So yeah, it's a bit sad, but there's not much you can do about it, right? Like I got like a bunch of small pillows to sleep with because he would otherwise sleep on my bed with me. So now I just have like 8 pillows every night, but it is what it is. So everyone has their ways of coping. That's how I do it. And another thing you can do is go to dog parks. That's one thing that's amazing about the US is you can take your dogs anywhere or dog, cat, whatever it is. You can take the pet literally anywhere, whether that be restaurants, subways, like you will find dogs all around. And if you're just feeling extra, homesick, dog sick, just go to the dog park and sit there and everyone's open to, I mean, ask first. Don't go and pet random strangers' dogs. But a lot of the time they're receptive to having you just, play with that dog for a bit. So should be good.
I'm glad you guys
uh,
are having a better experience. My dog actually passed away when I came to study in the US after
oh
like a
no.
year. And everyone was hiding it from me because they changed their WhatsApp profiles, my entire family, to my dog's photo. And I was like, you guys aren't hiding this very well. And then I was at work and I was like calling my mom. I was like, what's happening? No one was picking up my call. And yeah, I was just crying at work. But then, yeah, make sure you're video calling and talking and like looking at them as much as you can, I guess. And have pictures of them in your room if it helps.
Also, I think one big way of tackling homesickness is just ordering Indian food. So if you ever feel homesick, well, okay, sorry, I don't want to assume that everybody over here is Indian, but like ordering home cooked food is like this, whatever your mom used to cook for you. So like if you have to spend a little bit more too, sometimes I think it's worth it because it just reminds you of home. And but if there's anybody who is moving into an apartment as soon as they land here, and you want home cooked food, this is fully a pitch for one of our business partners, the Cuban Club. They have dehydrated, tasty Indian affordable food. Roam 25 for 25% off. We'll put the link to their website in the chat. Great Indian food.
Thanks for bringing that up. I wanted to mention that as well. I feel like every student gets more into cooking their cultural food once you get here because it connects you to home. I've been around a lot of international students, and probably on a daily basis, they're cooking a lot of their home cooked meals. I'm on like video call with my mom pretty often. Like, how do you cook dal? How do you make chicken curry? But
Yeah.
then you get the hang of it, and it makes you feel very connected to home when you're cooking these meals from your own country. So that's something you should be ready to start doing, like once you get here, if you think that's one thing that would make you feel more connected to home.
Pemsang asks us whether I think what he wants to ask is whether we can get skincare products from abroad. And yeah, you definitely can. I would recommend making like a small skincare pouch. That's what I do, and you put all your skincare products in there, so they're not all scattered. But yeah, you definitely can just put them in your check-in baggage.
I would also suggest you carry like vitamins, because of just where I live, almost all of us have a vitamin D deficiency just because of the lack of sun during the winters. So if you think that taking vitamins every day would be helpful, and when I went back to India and I got a blood test done, I had so many deficiencies. It's probably because of the change into transition into student lifestyle of not eating 3 meals a day. You're busy, you're running around, you're doing your own laundry, you have to cook your own food. So keep all of that in mind. And if taking vitamins or something like that's going to help you balance that out, make sure you bring it with you just so it helps you in your transition into freshman year.
Yeah. Uh, the next question we have is how can students create a comfortable and productive living space in their new environment? I think we went over this a little bit. Is try to have items from home that you can look to and like find some inspiration and find some joy in. So that could be like photo frames or just like a blanket that you have or like a small stuffed toy. Those are always really useful. But I think you should put an effort into creating your first dorm room to be a comfortable environment because that's something I wish I did. I sort of just like went for the cheapest blanket, the cheapest bed sheet, and like the cheapest essentials. And I wish I'd put in more effort to making it more comfortable. So when I actually came into my dorm room, it didn't feel like a jail cell. It actually felt like home. So try to like put an effort to make yourself comfortable in your space.
Like this.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I have I have a shelf full of toys. And that also helps if you have pets and you're usually used to sleeping with them. If you have something like this that you can hold on to and go to bed, like it helps. So
Yeah.
don't
And I
laugh.
You're going to be sitting at your desk a lot if you have a desk, or you're going to be working a lot. So try and make sure small things that you get like a laptop stand, slightly raised stand, purely because you're going to start hunching very soon if all you're doing is on your desk and staring at the laptop, which does happen when you're studying or you're doing some homework. So invest in these small things. It's not expensive. It's like $5 or $10. But all of these things will help you just be able to work for a lot longer and sustain yourself in a better way without feeling any aches and pains, whether it is whether you're working or whether you're sleeping. Like invest in a good blanket because it does get cold sometimes, a good pillow because you need to be well rested. If you're not well rested, the rest of everything just goes to shit. So just make sure you're like well rested and you have a good working space so you can do both of those things and really do well.
Uh, Tamang asks, he says that I'm going to be living in a really cold place in Minnesota, so what would be appropriate to take? So, Pemang, I would say that if you're landing in August, just check the temperature of Minnesota, see how cold or hot it is. Accordingly, pack clothing. I know Minnesota gets really cold and it get like snows and stuff there. So I think the best thing to do is come to the United States, come to Minnesota, and then buy like jackets or whatever you need from Minnesota, because those things are designed for people who live in those cities and states, because it does get cold there. So it's designed for them. So it's really helpful to come here and buy, and you can get good quality and affordable jackets from places like Kmart, H Mart, Walmart, Target. Like you don't have to spend a crazy amount on warm clothing. So just like check the temperature when you're landing, because you don't want to be met with like extreme cold when you just arrive.
I would also suggest like if you can buy stuff like a fleece that you wear inside. I just bought like a few from Jockey when I was coming. It's what you wear inside of your clothes. It helps you stay more warm. And just for an idea of what you might need for an outfit when you come to a colder climate is a beanie, a scarf, a jacket, sweaters, and then a winter boots if you're walking in like a lot of snow, and warm socks. So that's essentially the kind of outfit that you'll have to walk in every day. So think about if you want to bring that from back home, or like unsaid, the clothes that are in your city is probably designed for the weather. So it'll be durable. And if even if it's a little more expensive, if you're investing into it, you're probably going to be using it for the entirety of your stay. So that's a good investment. But if it's small things like your gloves or your beanie, you can bring that with you.
We have another question. Amanda, you can read it out.
Uh, where is it? I was looking at Krish's messages.
Oh, it's in
Yeah.
the Q&A. I'll just read it out. Had a weird question. How can I get rid of cold feet? Like I'm super excited for my study abroad, but at the same time, I'm worried if I will be able to adjust. And I hear you. That's a completely valid feeling to have. But let's think of it this way, right? Let's think of yourself as a hero that is starting their journey in a very unfamiliar land with unfamiliar people. Think of yourself as that. Think of yourself as a hero who's going to have different struggles. And those struggles, you have to embrace, right? Because studying abroad is an exciting journey, but at the same time, you will have your moments where you're like, oh my God, is this for me? Can I do it? This and that. We have to embrace them and be like, yes, I will feel those, but I'm also strong enough to come out of them a stronger person. And I think another thing that has helped me is I was also scared when I moved to the United States, because I moved to New York when I was 18 years old in the peak of the pandemic. I didn't know anybody. And what really helped me is just keeping promises to myself and building that discipline and staying consistent with whatever I wanted to do, whether it be like cooking or going to the gym or getting grades in my class, is keeping promises to myself, because I realized that that's a surefire way to build confidence. Because once you realize that, yes, I can do this thing that told myself, that my mind told me that I can't do, you're like, well, okay, all of the other tasks that I need to do are pretty simple. And once you start to develop a higher threshold for pain and like discipline, then all the other tasks start to become easier.
I wouldn't call it pain. I should call it discomfort. Pain makes it
Discomfort,
sound
yeah.
like someone beating you up and you're getting used to it. But yeah, it's just a new environment. So like it does take getting used to, but like everything in your life that you thought you weren't gonna get over and is crazy hard or seemed crazy hard at the time, now when you look back, you just go like, oh, I did it. So it's kind of like that. It's gonna take a few days, weeks maybe. But some things you can do to overcome cold feet are find others from home. No matter where in the world you are from, there will be someone you can relate to, even if they're not from the same place. Just someone who has similar life experiences. And people are the best, but you can find someone who you can vibe with, and that'll inevitably make you feel like, oh, you have some sort of support system. And we have a bunch of WhatsApp groups for different universities and an intro group that's the most active. So if you want to just make some friends, feel free to introduce yourself, and that's how you can find people.
I think also recognizing that it's such a blessing to have the opportunity to study abroad and, have that opportunity for self-growth. You're going to be staying completely by yourself, managing everything by yourself. You have so much opportunity, not just to grow professionally, but also personally. So making sure that you're using all of the time that you have. If it's going to the gym, starting taking care of yourself even more, or scheduling out your studies, having it done in a more structured way, and also being open to any changes that you might encounter. Everything's going to be new for you, so don't expect to be comfortable. And that's kind of the best part of it. You're going to experience a world that's different from where you came from. And there's only growth that can happen in a place like that. But keeping in mind that you will have bad days, you'll have times when you miss your family very much, times when you don't think you can do it alone. But there's so many of us. Even Rome, we have a huge community of students who are kind of going through the same journey. So, maybe staying connected to us, so staying connected to other students you might meet at your orientation, because essentially everyone who's coming in as an international student, you're going to meet during your orientation. So staying connected with them and just being open-minded is probably the best way to go about that.
Yeah, I would say that understand that there are people rooting for you and that you always will have somebody to talk to. And if you don't, then we are here. That's why we started Rome, is to be there for international students, is to help international students. So please try to engage with our community and try to engage with us. And we're like more than happy to help you and talk to you. And that's kind of the reason why we're doing these webinars as well.
Also, there's a really, 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 really cool tool that we're building to help you find any incoming student going to your university, provided they're on a part of Rome. So you could literally, in a couple of weeks, search for something as crazy as who's going to NYU from Mumbai or Bangalore and is interested in making music. And we'll tell you who from Bangalore is going to New York and likes to make music. And you can connect with them. So just some stuff that's on the way. Really cool ways to connect with people and find people. And it's coming soon. So stay tuned for that. And waitlist will be dropping shortly. So we'll put that on our WhatsApp group as well and make sure you sign up for early access so you can make some friends before you go abroad.
Somebody asks, my mom suggested getting a temporary international number from India so that I can contact my family until I get a US number. I'm not sure how this works, but is it necessary? It's not necessary. However, that does sound like a good thing just so you have some connectivity once you do land. Because what happened with me was I didn't have a SIM when I landed, so I had no way to contact my family, and I kind of just had to like I got scammed at the JFK airport, and one guy like lured me into his Uber, and this sounds like a fishy story, but I was fine. Uh, but like having a SIM card and like some data would have really helped. So I personally think that sounds like a good idea suggested by a mom.
And also, where another thing, like a lot is coming very soon. One of it is something called Mint Mobile. It's the best budget phone plan you can get. Most students who know about it end up using it. And good thing is you can get the SIM card before you enter the US, so you can buy and activate it. But it will, no, sorry, you can buy it and install it in your phone if you have an eSIM, or they ship the physical SIM to your house in India or wherever in the world you are, and you can put it in your phone. And the second you land in the US, it activates. And they give you a number beforehand, so you know what to give your parents to call you if they need to call you.
Yeah.
And yeah, but
I think Mint Mobile is like so efficient. I didn't even know about eSIMs before, but essentially you don't even need a physical SIM to activate your plan. And when I
Yeah.
transitioned into Mint Mobile is when I was introduced to it. It's so efficient. You don't even need to wait for your card, your SIM card to get to you. You just have to, it has all the instructions on the website as well. And it's what we recommend to most of the students at our campus. So yes, Krish, very true.
and we'll be partnering with them very, very shortly. So look out for that. We might be able to get you some discounts. So just keep an eye out. And
Yeah,
I
we're manifesting the Ryan Reynolds X Rome collab very, very soon.
for sure. No, we're gonna bring him out, but one day. But
One day.
Ayush asks, can we use Indian credit cards and does it cost more in the form of Forex fees? Yes, I think most of them do, unless you have some crazy Indian card that doesn't. But as to my knowledge, a lot of them do, and I would not recommend. I mean, definitely get a Forex card and stack it up with a couple $100 just for safety reasons till you transition into opening a bank account and everything. But to your point as well, we have a partnership with this bank called Adro. It's like a mobile bank that allows you to open a bank account and gives you a secured credit card before you come to the US. So the second you land in the US, you'll have Apple or Google Pay or Android Pay, and you'll be able to tap your item. Adro is similar to Solve, but a much, much better product. And it launches tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that as well. We have a partnership with them. So we'll have a lot of material and content as to how you can open your account. And the best part is you can open it from anywhere in the world with just your passport and your US visa. And they give you a credit card, which is very cool because it allows you to start building credit. Credit is super important. We have a bunch of articles about that on our page, and we'll talk about that more in a future webinar. But right off the bat, Adro is a great a bank to start with, and it bridges the gap. So you don't have to use your Forex card. You can directly transfer money to Adro, and you can even pay your fees through it. And it's absolutely free, no cost to you. So just keep an eye out for that. We'll be sending more information on that tomorrow on the WhatsApp group. So if you're not there yet, just join. And yeah, I think that's everything on banks. But to answer your question, Ayush, really shortly, I would suggest carrying a Forex card just for the first week or so, just for you to be
Mhm.
comfortable. And definitely try not to use your Indian credit card if you can.
And carry some
Somebody
cash.
asks, go on, Amanda.
Sorry, and also just carry some cash on you if you want to grab food at like the airport, or once you get here, you need to get some groceries to start off with. If you want to kind of get rid of the card fees and all of that, having cash with you, convert it to dollars before you leave your country will probably be helpful, and which is what I did.
Guys, I understand that a lot of you are stressed about like these small things, but I think once you break it down, you really have to be concerned about maybe two or three things. Is like, are you going to get food in your stomach today and tomorrow? If yes, you're fine. Are you going to have a like a roof over your head? And if yes, you're fine. Everything else is figure outable once you land here. So then don't stress too much about these things. The reason we're doing this is so that you have information before you land. But at the same time, we don't want you to like worry about figuring everything out on day one. Because trust me, myself included, and I know so many people, we it's hard to figure stuff out even like 2 3 years down the line, and it's just like a learning process. So don't stress too much about it. And as for what cards you need just two cards. It's like a debit card, and you will be fine. But once you want to start establishing your credit score and your credit history, then you get a credit card, and then you can get multiple credit cards and multiple debit cards eventually, and you try to game the system. But the only two things you really need is a debit card and a credit card, and then obviously a SIM card for your phone.
I would suggest starting to build credit early because I'll put in reference. I got a credit card as soon as I came here through Discover, which at the time was giving credit cards without an SSN. And I haven't paid more than $200 to fly back to India since, purely because the point system is so good when you start using credit cards in the US that we'll explain how to do that once you're here.
Yeah.
But there's a lot you can do. So definitely keep an eye out for credit cards that you can get without before you have an SSN. And this kind of takes us to Ayush's question, but Raika's asked something before that. So Ansh, do you wanna?
Oh, sure. Raika asks about like electrical stuff. They say that they plan to buy a laptop and phone here, but they're running a Lenovo from 2012. They're worried about the electrical conversion. When you say you're planning to buy a laptop and phone from here, does that mean where you're from or like America? Because if you're getting a laptop, I would suggest you get it in the United States because it's probably going to be cheaper because India has import fees. And like with the electrical conversion and stuff, you won't have to worry about that either.
Though that said, if you do end up buying it in India, most laptops can be used around the world. Just make sure you have
Yeah.
the right chargers. But even then, most of the bricks that they give you with the laptops are universal bricks. Like only the adapter needs to change. Purely because so many people travel all the time, it wouldn't make sense if they didn't have a universal brick. So you're good on that front. Like I had my laptop from India as well, and I had no problems. I just needed to get a power strip so I could fit the plug into the socket. But yeah, don't worry about things blowing up. Just be careful about, I'd say get a surge protector, get a power strip, because most of them protect against these things. So if by chance you end up plugging something that shouldn't be plugged in, it's not going to blow up. It's just going to stop and cut off because there's a circuit breaker in the power strip. But Ayush, to your question, Indian credit scores are not transferred to the US credit score system. If that were the case, it would be absolutely fantastic. There were a few companies that used to work on that, but it didn't turn out too well. So currently I don't believe there's any way to transfer your Indian credit score to the US system. Though if you do apply for an American Express credit card, for example, certain banks can pull your Indian credit history. So they'll ask you a few questions. They'll give you a phone call and just ask you about your Indian credentials, and then they can pull your Indian credit score to the US and issue you a credit card without an SSN. So that's a very long and complicated process. I wouldn't suggest starting out there. I just suggest starting out with a regular bank account and maybe a secured credit card and a debit card. But we have a whole different webinar just on this. So stay tuned for that.
Ria asks, I'm not well versed with Avios and cheap air travel hacks, but I guess traveling with a single airline will help build Avios and help with discounts. Which airline do you recommend? I'm not sure what Avios means, but I do recommend a website. It's called studentuniverse.com. And sometimes they have like discounts on flights, but it really depends on where you're flying from. Like if you're flying from Dubai, like Emirates might be like a good option for you. If you're flying from India, I know like if you fly from Delhi, like Air India is a pretty cheap alternative. So it really depends on where you're flying from. But check out studentuniverse.com. And then somebody asks, can you explain all things from your home country airport to USA airport, like immigration, custom, giving luggage details and all? Okay, let's quickly go over like the exact process of how you fly because we understand that some of you might be flying for the first or second time. So essentially, you pack all your baggage. You make sure it's less than 23 kilos because that's usually what the baggage limit is. So less than 23 kilos. So like just weigh it using a weighing scale or some sort of weighing machine. Go to the airport like 3 hours before the flight. Uh, Go and check in, and what check in is basically like you give your baggage off to the person who's like putting in your information and stuff, who's going to give your boarding pass. You stand in line, do the check-in, and then you have to emigrate. So you're leaving your country, so you do emigration. So typically, it's like certain visa officers who look at your passport and like stamp it because you're leaving the country. Then you're free to do whatever until your flight is starting to board. So like roam around in the airport, check it out, and then go and sit next to your flight's gate, which will probably be printed on your boarding pass like for 60 to 45 minutes before the flight is about to depart. uh, Go in and join the line when they start boarding, hop in the flight, have a good flight, watch some movies, eat some food, get out. Then you're gonna have to go through immigration, and then you're probably gonna have to stand in a big line with a lot of other people who are traveling with you, and then they'll check your I-20, and then they'll check your visa, and then they'll probably ask you a few questions like, what are you studying? Why are you like where are you studying? What do you plan to do? Like just a few questions. Just be friendly, just call them like, hi sir, how are you? Hi officer. That's what I usually do. Then they'll approve it, they'll stamp on your passport, you get out, then you have to go to baggage check, you go and find your luggage, you pick up your suitcases, and then typically depending on how you're like using transportation, are you using the subway, using the car, are you using a taxi, you book one of those and then you just depart to your location. That's pretty much it.
If you're nervous about it, I would suggest watching vlogs on YouTube of, students that are moving to the US. I know I did that before I first came here to study, so that really helps because they kind of vlog everything that they do once they get to the airport until they reach and what they do after as well. So it'll help you decide and plan it out.
And
Um,
I think next time you fly, you should just vlog it for
but
our
yeah.
All right, I'll write it down in my land of ideas. Oh, Avios is like loyalty points you can earn for British Airway. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I think over time, if you use the same airlines, you're going to end up collecting points. So yeah, those can also definitely be useful in addition to the credit card points that you can get once you start getting credit cards.
Um,
Um,
Ayush is asking about a summer internship. Do we already have a blog on that, or are we working on it, Krish?
We're working on it.
Cool.
And we have a bunch of videos coming out on that as well. But Ansh just dropped a reel on interview tips. And if you get lucky and you get straight to the interview, which happens sometimes when you apply to a lot of jobs, you should be prepared. And not just interview tips, when you meet a lot of people at career fairs or you meet someone at a place you want to work with, you should know how to speak to them in a manner that puts across how capable and talented you are. And you can do that by following the star method, which Ant spoke about on his reel. So, Ant, if we can drop the link to that reel, we can get everyone to see it.
Sure, I'll do that right
Yeah.
now. Raika asks, do you have any scholarship website recommendations? Still trying to look for more scholarships. Great question. We're actually working on that right now. Our second growth intern, Rashi, she's currently working on finding scholarship sources for you all, and then we're going to put it together in a blog post and send it out. And we're also planning to like include that in our newsletter. So if you're not subscribed to our newsletter, please do. It's all of this information is on our Instagram. Just go to our Instagram, go to the link tree, and all of it is there. But I also
Shameless.
just drop it.
I'll also put it over here so you can. That's the
Okay.
link.
Yeah, that's our newsletter.
And as for the resume question, we'll also be putting a blog post on that. If you're just applying to campus jobs while you're still in your home country, just put in any experience that you might have in terms of leadership, any organizations you were part of. If you're applying for a role that's specific to like research or something else like that, include more of what you did in classes, and I think that's as much as you can include for your resume until you have actual like job experience, right? Hunch, do you have anything to add to that?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
So a student asks, how to frame your resume accordingly
Mm-hmm.
to internship.
Okay, yeah, I think what we're going to do for the resume stuff is we're probably going to make like a template and then like probably send that to you guys, just so you understand what like an ATS optimized resume looks like. And we'll put in some placeholders and you can just start putting your information in there. And I'll also probably make like a reel on like resume tips, like what you should and shouldn't do. But just like a few things, it's like make sure your resume is not longer than a page. One page always, that is the standard, industry standard in most industries. Try to quantify your experiences. So if you, let's say you like increase the revenue of some company or you improve performance, try to write down a numbers like increased revenue by 20%, improved efficiency by 15%, because it's always nice to look at numbers and that's just how the game works. And yeah, those are like some of the tips I have. But yeah, we'll make a reel on this, so you'll have all of this.
If it's
I just put
specific,
in a sorry, I just put in a link for the interview tips link reel, so check that out if you want to.
if it's specific to a summer internship, the biggest point we can give you is probably to not elaborate your resume too much. Make it specific to the needs of the internship. So if it's not relevant, it probably doesn't need to be on your resume and won't help even if you have that on there.
Yeah. Likhit asks, what is the best way to buy a phone in the USA as my current phone is supported by only T-Mobile and that too partially? Mm, Amazon or Walmart is probably the best way to buy a phone. What do you guys think?
They offer you phone plans when you go to places like Walmart, so it allows you to make monthly payments. But I think you do need an SSN for doing something like that, correct?
I'm not too sure about that actually.
Yeah, I think for one of the international students, they needed a new phone, but they didn't have an SSN number. So yeah, you need an SSN number to have like a monthly payment purchase for a phone. Um, I personally had my phone with me when I bought it just before leaving India. So I don't know if that would be an option you would consider.
Like just to clarify though, like you don't need an SSN to buy a phone. It's just if you want to get on a monthly plan, then they might ask you for your SSN. But usually you can just like go to these stores and just get a phone. Pretty simple. Raika asks, how long does it take to get the social security number? So just for those who don't know, the social security number is a unique number to you, and it basically helps you with income and tax purposes in the United States. Uh, you can only get a social security number, as far as I know, once you get a job. and that's typically like an on-campus job or an internship. And then you can use that offer letter to get a social security number and then start doing other things. So it really just depends on how fast you can get a job. And Chris just linked an article that we wrote on how to get a social security number and what is an SSN.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think
we have 3 more
move.
minutes.
Yeah, I think we're good to speed run well-being. So real quick, Ansh, top 3 things you do to stay mentally
Uh,
and
I go to the gym. I prioritize going to the gym because being physically fit is amazing and I love it. And if you're like 17, 18 years old right now, dude, let me just tell you, like going to the gym right now is such a high ROI activity for you because you're able to put on muscle pretty quickly, especially if you're skinny and you're eating a little bit more and you're training hard. And once you start putting on that muscle, people will start to notice, you'll start to gain more confidence. And it's just a virtuous cycle. So physical health is something that I prioritize. I'm still working on like sleeping and making sure I go to bed on time, but try to go to bed on time so you're waking up on a consistent time every single day, and that really helps build discipline. But at the same time, like it's your first semester, so like sleep in a little bit, stay out a little bit, have a little bit of fun, but try to do things that are important to you and that make you feel grounded to where you come from, and that I think will help your emotional well-being.
Manna, what do you do?
Probably spending time on things that you value more. So cooking, is something I try to spend time on, prepping everything, making sure I have all the groceries, because nutrition's very important. And I didn't figure it out until 2 years after getting here, but it will affect your health if you're not taking care of it. Also, scheduling my day to day, so I'm making sure I'm at where I need to be, and not feeling bad about missing deadlines or anything like that. Making sure my day is fully scheduled on my Google Calendar. And then also making time to grow for yourself. I always watch videos on self-growth and in ways I can improve myself, or even in the profession I'm going into, to learn more about, how I can optimize my skills. And also prioritizing spending time with your friends and people you care about, just so you're not overwhelming yourself. That's probably the biggest tips I would have for you.
I schedule time to do absolutely nothing. I feel like once you're abroad, you're constantly doing something. Doing nothing just feels good. When I say doing nothing, I literally mean I leave my phone at home and I go for a walk or I just sit. Like, sounds crazy, but once you're here and you're doing a lot of stuff, you realize the value of not doing anything sometimes. And that it's like an instant like detox from everything around you. And you just feel good because you're like, okay, I'm peaceful now. Like I'm at peace. I don't have to stress about anything. So another thing I like doing that's really helped everything mental, emotional, and physical together is I go to the gym without my phone. Because then while I'm there for that hour and a half, it's just pure bliss. It's exercise, it's motivation to just, think and work without any music, without anything. And you end up finding people to talk to, or you just don't. But it's very calming to try and not be with your phone for that hour and a half while you're working out. I think that's something that I've done that's helped a lot. But yeah, awesome.
Awesome. It's 11:01 a.m. on our end, and that means it's the end of our webinar. Thank you so much for everybody who's here, still here, the 15 people who are still here. We hope you found this useful. We are going
Oh,
to upload this on YouTube. Yeah, go on,
one
Krish.
second, one sec, one sec. We had this question before as well. How much money should we carry? Vanshika, that depends on where you're going to study. I would suggest asking a couple of seniors because, for example, New York is significantly more expensive than the Midwest, for example. And uh, Arizona, I personally can't tell you because I don't know, but we can definitely connect you with people at ASU because they are on our WhatsApp community. So feel free to join and we can, yeah, that's a good question. We should ask on the WhatsApp group and just see
I would
what
just say, yeah,
yeah.
carry enough to for food if you need to buy it. And basically for the first month of you getting there, if you need to buy anything, make sure you have enough money for that. If you're living off campus, paying off rent, utilities, all of that for the first month, again, would depend on where you're going. So getting you connected to someone from there would probably be more useful than us suggesting it for you.
Yeah. But if there's no more questions, thank you everybody for joining us. I'm going to stop this recording, and I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday and great rest of your week. We hope to see you in our future webinars. Next week is week 5. We're going to talk about budgeting and financial literacy. So we're going to talk everything about credit cards and bank accounts and everything. So come with all your questions, and it's going to be a good time. So thank you so much, guys.
Take care. See you.
See you.